Can a single sentence bring down an empire? On November 9th, 1989, it happened. The Soviet Union's grip on Eastern Europe was weakening. Protests were erupting across the region, especially in East Germany. People wanted freedom, they wanted to travel, and the government was under immense pressure to do something. That evening, the East German government held a press conference. It was meant to be a routine, boring affair. The spokesman, Günter Schabowski, had been handed a note just before he went on air. He hadn't even had time to read it properly. The note contained information about new, relaxed travel regulations. The plan was to announce that East Germans could apply for visas to travel abroad, and the new rules would take effect the next day, November 10th. It was supposed to be an orderly, controlled process, but history had other plans. Towards the end of the press conference, a journalist asked a crucial question: when do these new regulations come into effect? Schabowski, looking tired and a bit flustered, shuffled through his papers. He hadn't been fully briefed. He scanned the note he was given, and, finding no specific date, he mumbled the words that would change the world. He said, "As far as I know, it takes effect immediately, without delay. Immediately, without delay." Those words spread like wildfire. West German television channels, broadcasting into East Germany, seized on the statement. Their top news story was electrifying. The wall is open. People in East Berlin couldn't believe what they were hearing. Was it true? Could they just leave? At first, a few brave souls trickled towards the checkpoints along the Berlin Wall. They cautiously approached the border guards, who were just as confused as everyone else. The guards had no new orders. They tried calling their superiors, but no one knew what was happening. The official announcement wasn't supposed to happen this way. Schabowski had gone off script. As the news spread, the trickles turned into streams, and the streams into a flood. Thousands, then tens of thousands of East Berliners converged on the border crossings. They were chanting, "Open the gate! Open the gate!" The atmosphere was a mix of tension, excitement, and disbelief. These were people who had lived their entire lives behind a concrete barrier, a symbol of division and oppression. The border guards were in an impossible position. They were outnumbered. They had orders to shoot anyone who tried to cross illegally. But how could they shoot their own people? How could they fire into a peaceful, joyous crowd of families and neighbors? The sheer force of the people was overwhelming. Facing a potential catastrophe, one officer at the Bornholmer Strasse checkpoint made a fateful decision. At around 11:30 p.m., he gave the order, "Open the barrier." The floodgates were open. East and West Berliners streamed through, meeting in the middle. There were tears, hugs, and champagne. People climbed onto the wall, dancing and chipping away at it with hammers and chisels. It was a party at the funeral of an empire. The sight was broadcast around the globe. The symbol of the Cold War was crumbling, not from a military attack, but from a mistaken announcement and the unstoppable will of the people. Schabowski's fumbled sentence had triggered a domino effect. The collapse of the Berlin Wall signaled the end of East Germany. It showed that the Soviet Union was no longer willing or able to use force to keep its satellite states in line. One by one, the communist regimes of Eastern Europe fell. Poland, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, the Velvet Revolution, the Singing Revolution all gained unstoppable momentum. The Soviet Union itself couldn't withstand the shockwaves. The cracks in its foundation widened. Republics within the USSR began demanding their own independence. The authority of the central government in Moscow evaporated. Within 2 years of that fateful press conference, Soviet Union itself was officially dissolved on Christmas Day, 1991. The empire was over. It's an incredible story of how history can turn on a dime. It wasn't a general, a king, or a president who brought the wall down in that moment. It was a tired bureaucrat, a poorly written note, and a crowd of people who dared to believe a rumor was true. It shows the power of words, the power of media, and most importantly, the power of ordinary people to shape their own destiny. A single mistaken sentence didn't just open a gate. It tore down an ideological wall and redrew the map of Europe. It truly was the speech, or rather, the gaffe, that ended an empire. Thanks for watching. If you found this piece of history as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the moments that changed our world. See you next time.